Thank you for joining us for another video review, Tech for the Rest of Us. Okay, you're probably wondering why I'm wearing this silly thing on my head. That's because today we're going to take a look at Samsung's Galaxy S7, but we're not just going to look at the Galaxy 7. We're going to talk about the Galaxy Gear VR, which in this release with the Galaxy S7 is probably one of the smartest things Samsung has done in putting out a device, or in this case, subsidizing and putting out two devices together. Why? I'm going to tell you. So this is Samsung's Galaxy S7. It is an improvement over the S6 in that many of the things that Samsung Galaxy lovers, those who like that model of phone, were complaining about were actually added back to the S7. Like the water resistance, for instance, they've added that back to the S7. They've also added back removable storage. So they've actually added a dual SIM slot or dual SIM tray, not actually two SIMs, but a tray that holds your SIM card and holds the micro SD card. So when you pop that SIM tray out there, you can actually access the SIM and the micro SD. Because you have to use the SIM tool or a paper clip, you're not going to be removing it all that often, but I don't think most people do anyway. So that is what they've added back to the S7, but they've also added some things new to the S7. As you can already see, they have the always-on display. They've kind of followed in the vein of some of the newer phones that have come to market. You have the LG's V10, which has the active display on in the upper right-hand corner. This one stays on in the center of the screen all the time, and you're only going to lose about 1 to 3% of battery power over not having the always display on. So going into the always-on display, it doesn't really do a whole lot right now. You can put a few things actually on the screen when you go into it. When you go into the actual menu option that allows you to turn it on, you can choose to show the clock, calendar, or an image. Image kind of defeats the purpose. You can put your calendar on there, but it's not going to actually show you calendar appointments. As you can see here, it will just put a calendar on the front of the phone. So you'll get your time and you'll get the calendar, but you're not going to actually see any of your appointments. Also, you can have the clock on. Additionally, if you use the always-on display, you're going to get some notification icons on the screen that will just show you the number of notifications you have. So if you have a certain amount of email, different things like that, you'll see the actual amount of unread email or messages that you have, but you're not going to actually see any information much other than that. The Galaxy S7 is currently running Android Marshmallow 6.0. As you can see from some of the images we've captured side by side here, it's definitely taken some design cues from the Note 5. Whereas the previous generation had the curving front glass, or the curving on the front, the current generation now, the S7, is curved on the rear of the device. Again, very similar to the Note 5. Very similar design language. One of the things some have been noticing with the S7 is that it scratches a little easier than the Galaxy S6. I don't actually ever put anything in my pockets when I have my phone in my pocket that might scratch it. I usually keep it in my back pocket, so that's generally not an issue for me. But if you like to throw caution to the wind, not put a case on your phone, and put things in your pocket that could potentially scratch your phone, be mindful that that may be the case with your use with the S7. We have a 5.1-inch AMOLED screen. It's the same QHD resolution as the S6 at 2560 by 1440, though it has less bezel, so you're going to get more bezel to screen, or a better screen to bezel ratio with this device. It is a beautiful display, great color saturation, great contrast, and it's pretty bright outdoors. As a matter of fact, you know, if you've used previous Samsung devices, you'll know that this has one of the brightest outdoor displays on any device. Our Verizon branded model of the S7 was powered by Qualcomm's 820 chipset with 4 gigabytes of RAM. It includes 32 gigabytes worth of storage space. The SIM is hot swappable. Also in this version, in the S7 this year, you get a non-removable battery So even though you got your expandable storage back and you got your waterproofing, your water resistance back, you did not get your removable battery, but you're not going to be hurting too much for this. I was able to get all-day battery life out of this phone with its 3,000 milliamp battery, which compares to last year's 2,550 milliamps. You get a micro USB port on the bottom of the device, and you can see you have your speaker grill and microphone there as well as the headphone jack. You also have that on the bottom of the device. Like I said, it's sealed up pretty well, IP68 water resistant, so you're going to survive about 5 feet of water for up to 30 minutes if you do decide to go for a dip with the phone. One of the other items you're going to find on the S7 is new, and it's called Game Launcher. It's a feature that mobile gamers will probably really like. It's a kind of one-stop hub for all the games that are installed on the S7. You can launch titles from the Game Hub. You're going to have to go in and turn the setting on. So you're going to go into Settings, and then you're going to go into Advanced Features, and then you're going to go into Games. Once you go in there, you can turn on Game Launcher, and it'll kind of walk you through all the different options, all the different things that Game Launcher will allow you to do, so you'll know what items are available to you. You can turn on Game Tools. It was actually already on by default, and as you can see here, Game Launcher allows you to set so that you have no alerts during the game. You can lock the recent and back keys, those capacitive keys at the bottom of your phone, minimize the game, screenshot, and record gameplay. All right there on the screen, very well laid out, very easy to use functionality. And again, once we've turned it on, it actually creates a shortcut right there on your home screen. Another feature is they've now added the ability to take an email and create an event from it in the stock email app. So as you can see here, you're inside an email, you click the More button in the upper right-hand corner, and you go down to Add Event, and you can now take that email and turn it into a calendar entry. In some instances with some email apps, you can tap on dates and it allows you to do that very thing. But as you can see here in TouchWiz, they've now added that functionality directly into the operating system. The camera on this phone, the rear camera is 12 megapixels as opposed to the S6's 16 megapixels. But what they've done with the sensors actually made it larger, made the pixels larger so that it actually absorbs more light. So you now have a camera in this phone that's actually going to absorb more light and be better in low light conditions than the previous generation, the Galaxy S6. What that means for you is that in low lighting, you're going to have photos which aren't underexposed or grainy. You're going to have photos in low light. As you can see, some of the ones I'm putting up on the screen here, you're going to have photos that have rich detail, that are sharp images, that are well focused, and actually are generally better looking photos than previous generations. Those photos will further be enhanced by the fact that this year's camera also has optical image stabilization as opposed to software or digital image stabilization, which is an algorithm and software which compensates for handshake. Optical image stabilization is mechanical and is always the superior, at least at this point in history, the superior technology to digital image stabilization. So again, you're going to get great images in low light from that 12 megapixel sensor with dual pixel technology. That's what they're calling the technology in this. That will also help you focus faster, which is also an issue in low light situations where the camera tends to not focus as fast because it's searching, it's hunting. So you're going to get faster focusing with their dual pixel technology. One of the features that you're going to find is just lightning fast in here is the quick launch to the camera. So you want to capture those precious moments with your cell phone camera because, as they say, as the old saying goes, the best camera is the one you have on you. So you're trying to catch a quick moment, you double tap the home button. As you can see, it is immediately into the camera so you can grab a picture, grab a photo of whatever that moment, that thing is you're trying to capture. And I'll show you again here, double tap the home button and boom, you're right into the camera. It is very fast and you probably won't miss a thing. And again, with the dual pixel technology, focusing with this camera is quite fast as well. One of the other things that they've really worked on since they first added the fingerprint scanner on the Galaxy line of devices is it is fast now. It is really good. Wasn't a big fan of it at first, but you touch it and tap and it's right into the device. So where there may have been some other devices that were better with their fingerprint scanners initially, the Galaxy S7 is very much a vast improvement over the first iteration of the fingerprint scanner in the Galaxy device. I'm looking forward to seeing it tied into more apps. I think it could do a better job of tying into more Android apps, but that's actually up to the developers as they add that functionality to their software, especially my password managers. 1Password, I'm looking at you. We've walked around the device, taken a look at the hardware, the features, the functions of the Galaxy S7 on our Verizon branded unit. We've talked about the camera with the new dual pixel technology and 12 megapixels. By the way, the fact that it has only 12 megapixels means that you're not going to get as large a shot as you would with the 16 megapixels. But then my question is, how many of you are taking your camera phone photos and turning them into posters? If you're not turning them into posters, that's probably not a huge loss for you in the difference between 16 and 12 megapixels. And I'm thinking if you're doing that kind of work, you're probably using a DSLR or prosumer mirrorless camera or something to that effect anyhow. So that is the Galaxy S7. Overall, this has been a wonderful user experience on this device. Definitely an improvement over the S6. An iterative improvement, but an improvement nonetheless. And really like the always on display. Definitely appreciate that Samsung listened to customers and added back the water resistance and the removable storage. I'm still a big fan of that. And the fingerprint sensor that is much improved over previous gen fingerprint sensors. We cannot talk about the Galaxy S7 without also talking about Samsung's Gear VR. The Gear VR is their virtual reality headset that is powered by Oculus. Samsung and Oculus have worked on this product, and it's something they've been bringing to market for some time now. And it is amazing. It is really, really, really cool what you can see and what you can experience with the Gear VR. As opposed to the Oculus Rift, which will be tethered to a device, the Gear VR allows you to just slide your smartphone into the front here and experience virtual reality. When you slide the phone in there, you're not tethered to anything, so it doesn't take you out of the experience. I mean, with the Oculus, it doesn't really completely pull you out of the experience, but it's just when you're trying, you know, one of the things I show people is if you're sitting and using Gear VR, it's best in a swiveling chair because you can actually swivel around 360 degrees and experience everything that your virtual world has to offer. You don't get that same experience with Oculus or anything that has to be tethered to another device. And when you think about it at the end of the day, it's really pretty phenomenal what you're getting because in something the size of a cell phone, you now have this fully powered virtual reality functionality that actually is so immersive that it can make you motion sick. There are a couple different videos and games that we've used with the VR set which allow you to snowboard down the side of a mountain, be on a roller coaster, and they're quite impressive. And you will, if you're somebody who has a tendency to motion sickness, you may actually get a little motion sick. It's that immersive. So on the Gear VR, you'll be able to put the Galaxy S7 into the front of the goggle. You can adjust it with the wheel here in the middle, adjust focus, and you look through the lens. And I'd love to show it to you, but you cannot see it. It's one of those things that's like the Matrix. You have to experience it yourself. But it's very easy to use. Again, here's the USB port on this end. You're going to simply slide the phone into the port, and it snaps in just like that. So now then you can put the device on. You're going to have to download before first use some applications, some Oculus applications to be able to use VR on the S7. But once you've downloaded those apps onto the phone, you'll be able to take advantage of VR content. Some pretty cool stuff out there. And when I showed this to the kids, I showed this to my son and a couple of his friends, they were just blown away by it. Played some of the first-person shooters, enjoyed those, and watched that snowboarding, that downhill extreme sports video, and were wowed by that. So Samsung did something brilliant with the Gear VR this time around. They've actually made it so that it's included in some cases with the purchase of the S7. So how do you get people on a platform? How do you get them using a product that they don't think they want or need? You sweeten the pot and make it easier for them to pick it up. And I think once people get into VR, and especially at the cost of $99, once people experience that, they're going to want more of it. And especially once we get more film content, because it's the equivalent of watching a massive giant screen right in front of your face. I think this could eat into potentially movie profits at some point in the future, where people don't have to go to an IMAX, but they can instead enjoy a full-size, a huge, immersive movie right in front of their faces. Couple that with a solid pair of headphones, and sometimes you're actually going to get better sound quality through the headphones than you would in a theater. I know that's a tall order, but I've absolutely listened to things in my own home theater where the sound has had better separation and has been a little more immersive even than in a movie theater. Because if you're not sitting in the optimum place in some theaters, you don't quite get the benefit of all that surround sound and optimum sound. But with this, you have more control over your environment, and you may actually end up with a better or at least comparable viewing and listening experience to something you'd go see in a large format. So that is the Gear VR. Again, I definitely recommend, even if you're not really thinking about buying it at this point, walk into your local cell phone carrier, whoever that is, and test it out if they have it available for you to test out. Because it is one of those things that really we can't tell you or show you, but that you really should experience for yourself, and then decide if it's something that you think is worth purchasing or not. I definitely think it is, but that's up to you. So that's the Galaxy S7 and the Gear VR. Like I said, brilliant putting them together, selling them together, because virtual reality is like the Matrix. Unfortunately, nobody can actually be told what it is. We have to show you. And they made a smart bet that once you buy these two together and you see VR, that you're going to be hooked. Hey, if you have any questions that I haven't answered in the video, please ask them. Comments below. I'll get right to them. Thank you for watching.